Games and strains.
Yo, what's going on to all my people out there in the video game world? It's your favorite Stone Gamer, your boy Big V, here with a special edition of my podcast, Games and Strains. Well, you know what I mean? Well, I just be smoking, just be talking my game and shit. That's all. Just simple shit, you know what I mean? Before we get into it and I introduce my guests and my brothers, man, let me let y'all know who we sponsored by. We sponsored by my brand, Skyzone.Society. Please shop at Skyzone.Society.bigcartel.com. You know what I mean? But now we got my brothers on the show. They ain't new to the show. You might have seen them a time or two if you've been really tapped in. You know what I mean? I got my guys from the Sensei Thoughts podcast, my guy Sensei, and of course, my homie, the guy who was really my first guest on the show ever, my boy Logic, man. What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on?
Man, how y'all doing, man? How y'all doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing what we usually do, gaming, life, doing shit like that. I mean, just do it, living the life, man. Trying to get goals and whatever we want out our way, man. But man, I'm living life, man. I'm enjoying TV shows and video games and music. Your brand, which I'm embarrassed. I was gonna wear it for this show, but I didn't realize I didn't wash it yet. So I'm like, I gotta wash it now. Like I've been wearing it so many times, like I gotta wash it. So my bad.
Man,
I was gonna wear it for the show.
That makes me feel so great, man. I appreciate that so much, man. I really do, man.
I appreciate you for having my side, brother.
Like, of course, I told you. I got you. Of course, man. Of course, man. Logic, what's going on with you, man? How you, man?
Chilling, brother. Chilling. Excited to be back on here, man. It's been a minute, but I'm hyped. But we've been, even though, we haven't done the pod in a little bit, we've definitely been in contact. And that's one thing I was even telling Kills about too. I tell people about this. It's crazy. It's like the people that you meet online and then, and you create these relationships with and stuff like that, because of the commonalities and things, and we share common interests and stuff like that. And, even little things like before a pod that me and Kills would have, you'd hit me up on the text, be like, yo, have a good podcast today. Or even on some or just in the morning, be like, yo, have a good day today. Like on some crazy shit. I'm like, what the I'm taken aback because normally it's people that are close to you that do shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not every day that you meet somebody online that has that same type of, compassion and caring and stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate being back here and I'm just chilling, man. I'm gaming. I'm fucking up people in Fortnite. I'm out here like no build that's got a whole new fresh breath of life in that game and chilling. Like Till said, watching some shows. We're doing our pod thing, man. And just chilling, happy to be here. And I'm going to give you some more flowers too, because I feel like that's all we do, but it's deserved and rightly deserved. This guy is fucking getting tweeted out by the Xbox Game Pass account. I listen. I caught that. You come up in the feed. I caught that.
He trying to act like we didn't see that shit.
No, yeah. No, and that's fine. And because you know why? Because he don't really brag, and which is cool. Like, listen, being humble is dope. But listen, if that's me, I'm out here shouting it from the fucking rooftops. I'm cutting it. I'm retweeting it. I'm tagging it, and I'm milking the fuck out of it. And you're just like, nah, it's just another day.
You best believe I'm texting all my friends and family members to go to Twitter
and be like, yo,
retweet the shit out of that.
Yeah, I'm saying, yo, check mark. Yo, you see this? Check mark. I got check mark talking to me real quick. Yeah, man. Nah, that's dope. I saw that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty dope too. I ain't gonna lie, like it took me by surprise, you know what I'm saying? But it just go to show you, man. You just never know. You just never know who's watching, who's listening. That's why I tell people to just keep at what you're doing, man. It don't matter what you think is going on. Like you really don't know. Like, you don't fucking know, dog. You just don't know. Like you don't know.
Let's give you a little bit more flowers. I'm gonna just keep going here, man. Them devs, you're interviewing devs out here, bro. Like indie devs. Let's talk about that, bro. Come on, man. You out here doing. You representing. You're representing. Man, big time. And like Logic said, you're humble as fuck when it comes to that shit. And I gravitate to that sort of shit. Again, like Logic said, I'm not that guy. I will brag the fuck out of it, but you are so humble, and it's like I gravitate to shit like that. That attitude you got, that always moving forward. Anybody's looking, kind of attitude. Anybody can be viewing what you're writing, what you're talking about. It's so like you live that.
In a positive light too. and you're able to do it in a positive light as well too, and have that positivity and not do that whole, because listen, you remember when we started off, when we started talking and how those conversations came about and stuff like that. It wasn't on necessarily some like console war bullshit, but it was a nice constructive criticism conversation that we had that now spawned this type of relationship, which is dope, and you've been consistent in your messaging even ever since the first time that I talked to you as well. So it's really dope.
That's a fact.
It's really
very
dope,
consistent. Yeah.
Man, y'all boys, my family, man. I told y'all that, man. Man. And anytime I'm making a move like that, trying to get in the door with Devs, man, I tell y'all all the time, man. It's for us, man. It's for us, man. I think about y'all when I'm making these moves, y'all in particular, because y'all the only ones I know personally who are invested in this thing like me. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like we kind of started doing this like in this thing together almost. You know what I'm saying? Just figuring it out and navigating our way, man. And like I tell y'all all the time, I admire y'all show so much. Just the crowd feedback, like people are really dialed in to Sensei Thoughts podcast, man. Like I watch people like on the Sunday that y'all are going into the show, I watch people prep to watch it, man. I love that shit, man. I promise you. I fucking love that shit, man. I watch the comments. I watch like the people y'all bring on. I watch what y'all talk about. I watch the interaction. That's so dope to me. Like watching that inspires me. Like I'm in the comments too. You know what I mean? I'm watching. Yeah. I'm rooting y'all on because, man, you don't find just natural podcasts like I was on the internet anymore. You just don't. You just don't, man.
Just having a conversation, because that's really what it boils down to. It's like if the cameras weren't on, if the lights weren't on, if we didn't have the microphones, if we were just out here in a Discord, in a party chat, in a PlayStation party chat, in an Xbox party chat, just kicking it and just talking our shit. And then one day you're just like, you know what? Like, let's just have these conversations and let's see if we got other people that, maybe share the same ideas as us. And even if you don't, that's okay too, because it's okay to have different opinions on different things. And that's what it's about as well too. But yeah, man, we appreciate that. I know Kills appreciates that. I know I appreciate that.
Appreciate it big time, man. Like it goes back to the foundation of what we decided to do when we started doing this podcast. We spoke very early on that the community needs to be involved. It needs to be about the community, no matter how big or small it gets. It has to be about them. And I mean, even some of my spawned off shows, like the Creative Corners shows, that was an idea that I bounced off you. And it was just like one of those things like, hey, man, I'm thinking about doing something. What do you think about this? And you was like big money, let's go. And I was like, well, I guess you're going to be my first guest. And you legit was like, let's go. We're going to do that. But the foundation is real big, man. It's about the community. We like involving them. No matter how big or small we end up getting, it doesn't matter, man. At the end of the day, we're having fun with what we're doing. And we've said this before, man. The moment this becomes something that's not fun, it's gaming. The moment it doesn't become fun is when we go, you know what, we got to rethink this. Because at the end of the day, we're doing this for fun, I think I even tweeted this week when I said, I may never become successful in this space. However, I have kids that can always look at these videos, when I'm long gone and go, wow, that's my dad. He was having fun. He's smiling. He was doing his thing, and have that as long as YouTube don't go away. But they're going to have that for the rest of their lives. And I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. I'm perfectly fine with that.
It's the legacy, man. It's the legacy. I tell people all the time, it's about your legacy, man. It is so about your legacy. And, we had thoughts of maybe hooking up, man, and meeting up at E3, and just to bring up the first subject, man. I just got some breaking news before I come on the podcast that they are canceling E3 digitally and of course physically this year. Man, like, what are you guys' thoughts on this, man?
You got this, Kills, or you want me to?
Go ahead. You can open it up.
I want both of y'all thoughts.
I'm open. All right. I'm open up real quick. All right. So honestly, it's a sign of the times. So I don't think, listen, forget what you understand. At the end of the day, this industry and just in the world in general still hasn't recovered on what's going on and what has happened and transpired over the last 2.5 years. That's just that's just a fact. And it's not, we're not just going back and going to use it as an excuse. And whether they want to say that or not, that's what it is. Like, and sometimes there's certain, and you see this now with, I mean, even before we got the E3, E3 announced they were going to go digital. They didn't want to do physical, but that's because of a lot of the different, regulations and stuff that are happening in different states. Because not everybody also too is rocking the same way. There's 50 states. Everybody got their own thing going on. It's okay over here. It's not okay over there. We still got some mandates over here. Not so many mandates over here. Listen, Kyrie Irving couldn't play fucking basketball in Brooklyn for half of the season. Next thing you know, baseball season's about to start, and he can play now because Yankees Aaron Judge ain't missing any games because reportedly he's not vaccinated. Like, you know what I mean? Like the world, like, listen, there's things that will make the needle move. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so as far as this gaming stuff, it's unfortunate. But it's like there's also a lot of developers and a lot of studios and a lot of publishers that just they're not ready to just go out there and be like, oh yeah, here's our next 2-3 years down the road, because they don't know what the fuck's going on with themselves. There are some people that we already know that have all their eggs in a basket and they're moving and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's supposed to show, like, E3 is supposed to bring the industry together and show the consumers what's to look, what's coming. But I think a lot of other companies see this as like, no, we've been able to do this stuff individually. Nintendo with their Nintendo Direct, Xbox has been able to manage with their own state of play, excuse me. Xbox, they had a showcase, like the Xbox showcase they did. And then even PlayStation with State of Play, where they do these little tidbits and they just hit you real quick with like these little bits of information. And then when they got something to show you, they'll show you stuff. So I think that's really where I thought that this is where the industry was going before all of this craziness. Like when E3 was on down, I think gaming is bigger than ever, but I think there's still these developers and stuff like that are still trying to just get back on the train. They're still trying to just get back on the tracks and still trying to navigate this situation and do it. And honestly, I think at the end of the day, it's upsetting and it's sad that, we can't, go and meet up and have that place and be able to share in that stuff and have those conversations. But at the end of the day, it might be a good thing for these, because listen, as a developer, I'm saying to myself, thank God I don't got to cut half of my game now to go and make an E3 trailer. I don't got to go make something. I don't got to present an E3 thing. Like, you understand the strain that's involved with creating an E3 demo or an E3 trailer, that the amount of resources that you got to dictate and transfer over just to get something ready to show to the general public. And then, even if you're hitting it with this is early game, this is alpha, this isn't how the final game will be, whatever the situation may be, the scrutiny and the pressure that you're put under in order to, in order to do that, at the end of the day, because you're showing the world basically what you're working on. Like, I think that brings that lifts a heavy burden off of those people's back. So now they can literally just do what they got to do and focus on the game at hand, and hopefully be able to deliver a really good product whenever those products may come out. So I don't
think a lot of people understand that part, their Logic. The fact that they got to stop. And I'm gonna echo that the development team has to stop doing the production they're doing, the development they're doing on the game to ship out. They got to stop and literally create a virtual slice, a demo, per se, a gameplay demo for us to see at E3, which then puts time constraint on the actual final product to come out at the end or whenever that date is, I'll come at it from a fan perspective, because Logic hit it right on the head when it comes to the business side of things, like how the industry flows. From the fan side of things, it's very disappointing. It's upsetting, because you and I, as well as Logic, and a lot of us in our age group, our generation, we grew up around the E3. That was our hype show. Still is our hype show.
Yes.
It's the show that we all waited to go. I can't wait to see what they drop and go, oh my God. Those oh my God moments are filled with that, right? Then you have the other developers that come in, not just Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. We're talking about Konami, Capcom. We're talking about like EA, every other studio that's out there do their own little showcases. Man, I remember the G4 TV times, so there's a lot of fond memories when it comes to E3 and what it was. It's very sad. It's a sad day because it's canceled. They didn't say it was completely done. I know some people are speculating it's over. That's it. It's dead and buried. They already confirmed next year is still a thought. It's still gonna happen next year. But I'm also at the same time excited as a fan. And Logic said this. He mentioned this. The smaller shows, they have been proven to work. I'm a fan of the smaller shows. Like, I really am. Like, the Nintendo Directs are impressive. The PlayStation, I forgot to call it, the PlayStation showcases or the PlayStation Experience.
State of Play.
Two different.
State of Play.
State of Experience.
They got the Experience and the State of Play. Yeah.
And the State of Play.
And I'm a fan of both. I mean, because the Experience obviously gives you the bigger, a game about to drop on PlayStation. We're gonna blow it up. and then the little ones is like, let's show like 20 minutes of different games.
Yeah.
A fan of those because it focuses on their ecosystem. It focuses on what you're trying to sell me.
Yep.
Whether I'm a fan of your system or not, you're trying to sell me, and I appreciate that. And I'm a fan of that. So maybe now we're gonna see more of that stuff because these companies have done their own thing. Microsoft has done it too. So it's like they have done their own thing. So I'm more than confident that we're gonna get something out of all these companies, even though E3 is not around for the summer. I think Jeff Keighley even said his summer showcase is still on, is happening. I mean, he took advantage of the whole news of E3 and said, look, no, we're still doing our thing.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. We're getting info. We're going to get stuff. It's just not going to, it might not be at the extravagance and
well,
what we might be
cost,
accustomed to. Exactly.
Cost, dedication, the resources that needs to be done to get this going. And plus, if you're a company, now you have to adhere to E3's rules and regulations and their time constraints, and when you need to get it out for them.
Yeah,
it's no longer your ball court, like your court to run the ball on. It's theirs. So by them taking it and saying, well, we'll just do all the independent shows, now they can control it more and show you what they want to show you and actually celebrate with the fans. But yeah, man, just to bring it back, the E3 not happening this year, digital or physical, man, I'm sad, man. I got that today, just like you did. I got that right before I went to the show, about an hour before I got the link to come on here, and I'm going, oh man, I even sent it to Logic. I'm like, I had to confirm it too because there's a lot of people tweeting about it. And I'm like, is this real? And I had to look it up, and it looks like articles are out there about it. People got emails about it saying it's canceled, and I'm like, damn, man, and it's crazy because I've been trying to get out there, bro. Like I've been trying to get out to E3 so many times in a row. Like last time I legitimately almost tried to get out there, which I ended up getting plane tickets to, was the one before the pandemic happened where they had to cancel because of the pandemic. And I'm like, I think 2019 or 2020, I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh man, like I really had a legit shot to go out there. And it's like, I have that credit there. So maybe I'll just use that credit to come out and fly see you. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. I'll fly out to see you with that credit,
or just save it to next year, man. You know, they already issued a statement. They're going to really zero in on it and make it what it needs to be. You know, all things given, everything is okay with COVID and things don't get that worse again. You know what I mean? Me from a fan standpoint, man, it's such a letdown, especially not having a digital show. Like, God, man, I already came to grips that they weren't having a physical, but it kind of slapped me in the face today when I got that tweet, man, about they weren't even going digital, man. Yeah. And I get it. I hadn't even thought about it from Logic's standpoint of just taking some pressure off of the developers, and maybe that way now we can finally get some finished games on day one without a day one patch. Just maybe we can.
Still might be a stretch.
It still might be a stretch. Maybe we can actually focus on getting the next gen experience as we were promised with all 4K 60 FPS.
All of it.
Just
all of it. No post patch. Just launch it with next gen features.
Let's go, man. And maybe they can now really stop bullshitting with the Series S and stop saying, oh, we can't figure this configuration out. We don't know how to do 14.
That part is frustrating. That part is frustrating.
Oh my God. You
telling me you got to figure out these little tools and shit that's on these things, but you didn't have to figure out my money going to your pocket. Like I paid you for that. Like I need this.
And what kills me is I just don't, and again, I'm not a tech guy, but I just feel like if you can figure out more powerful devices such as the Series X and PS5 to do these things, why can't you figure out make a game that runs the Series S to the max, the 1440p max?
Listen, we've had this conversation. I've had this conversation with numerous of my gaming circles, including Logic there. I've had the conversation. It was like, it's hard for me to just pinpoint a game this generation that's come out with virtually no issues other than Elden Ring. Elden Ring is fucking. I already told you before we went live. Elden Ring is my game of the year. I don't believe in game of the year awards. That's just a title for something to be pushed out more in sales.
But it's your game.
But for me, my experience, this is it, right? But aside from that, like games has been coming out either way too buggy, with day one patches and making it worse, not better. Coming out with missing modes. I mean, love it or hate it, co-op has been broken even if it's introduced in a game. Dying Light 2, one of my favorite games. Their co-op was broken. It's still is to this day. At least for me, it's unplayable as co-op. even though they said 3 times now, this patch is fixing it. I still can't maintain a stable connection with anybody on that game to co-op it. Like it literally after like 5 or 10 minutes, I'm dropped. So it's Outriders. Like there's games that's come out, and I've said this already in our pod, but there's games that's been coming out this generation that are not meeting the standards that used to be met.
And even to piggyback off of that too.
For everyone.
Yeah,
for everyone. It's maybe it's a change of the times. Maybe it's just new. I get the new tools. I get the pandemic. We never had this ever before. They never had to produce in that such a condition. But I think at some point we have to adapt.
Yep.
We have to adapt and overcome things like that, and understand it's a challenge and adversity that we have to overcome. That's what being human is about, in my point of view. Like if something happens in our lives, we adapt and we move, and we adjust and we move on. It's been 2 years now, more than that, and we're still sitting here going, well, because of the pandemic. I get it. Nobody wants to hear that, but we're at a point where it's like, okay, what did you do to adjust to that pandemic?
But there are certain studios too that here's the thing where and to bounce off of that point, even like with the games and the state of games that are being released, when you look at games, and I hate to just throw certain games out there, but you look at a game like Tunic, you look at a game like Hades, you look at these single A games, these maybe double A games, these indie games, all across the board too, not just specifically, just games in general, these just like lower budget games that come out and they just work and they're fun.
And I want to emphasize those games you just mentioned, Logic. I want to emphasize those games you just mentioned are produced during pandemic.
This is exactly. Yes. So, but smaller concentration, not all the glamour, not all the bells and whistles. But I can't even say that because I don't want to take away from what those games actually do from a gameplay standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, visually, Hades visually, that's one of the best looking games that I've played, and best responding games too. And that game runs amazing right on my Xbox Series S. It runs really good on my PC. It's such a fun game to play. You see a game like Tunic, where it's like, say what you want about, Zelda clone, whatever like that. Yeah, they went in there saying, basically we took our inspiration from Zelda, but at the end of the day, we're giving you something that's still kind of fresh. It's still something that, you might have seen other, games doing stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still a new experience though. Right. It's still an updated experience. Visually, that game is stunning too. That game is amazing. And it's just that when you see smaller studios and smaller people are able to do that work, then it's like, why are there games like Battlefield 2042? Why are there games coming out being released, like to Kills' point? And I don't want to be that, but Halo Infinite. You know what? And I said this already too. You should have just gave us the freaking multiplayer, held on this. I mean, even though the single player was good too. I love the story of the single player and stuff. But now we're already almost, I don't know how many months in since, December basically at this point, or even November when it launched. And then in May, we're getting the season 2 and stuff. And yes, they had issues and stuff with development, but you had millions and millions of dollars behind you. So then the answer is not the money. Maybe it is the talent behind there. And I'm not going to try to sit here and call out 3foot3 about talent and stuff, but you got smaller devs and smaller people that don't have the big, workhorse behind you. It's, you can even move this over to the music industry when you talk about when you have the team behind you, when you have a label behind you versus when you're an independent artist. And it's like when you don't have the big money making machine behind you, pushing you, putting you on every radio station, putting you in all the TV shows, putting you all that. And it's gaining that virality, like going viral just as a new upcoming act versus having the millions behind you. How come there's so many people now that are able to do it without having those big ass music labels behind them? Yep. And then now you got music labels like, oh shit, wait, the game's changed. So now I gotta go and I gotta see what these, little these young kids are doing now, because they're not fucking with us anymore, because they could get their money their own way without actually having to worry about coming to us and asking for 360 deals and so forth and so on.
The difference between what you're talking about and what a game like Battlefield 2042, Halo Infinite. The difference between the Tunics and that, or even Elden Ring. Elden Ring's believe it or not, one of the biggest titles they've done in a long time. Yep. It's a big title. I think it's their first biggest title ever with money involved. The point of the whole thing is that as long as you are developing a game with passion, love, nurturing it, it's your baby, and you want this thing to be a game for everybody to experience and have fun with it, you're going to come up with a product that people are going to have fun with it. The moment is like Logic said, you introduce oh, we got to throw money at it. It's going to fix it. That's a problem. It's not. Doesn't fix everything. We've all heard that term. Money doesn't, solve every problem. In this case, when we talking about big titles, Battlefield 2042, we talking about Halo. Like, money did not solve that issue. Sometimes you have to start questioning the talent. Not that they're bad. I'm not trying to say I'm not trying to say 343 is a bad studio, but sometimes you just got to question. You got to know people, and we've had this discussion on the one-on-one pod we did, Big V.
Yeah,
you got to know the strengths and weaknesses of someone. You do, and you have to, as a leader, you have to play on that. I have to know what you're really good at, and let me highlight that for you. I'll support the shit out of that for you, and I got to also know what you can't do, and get somebody that can cover your blind spot, what you can do. I just think there's in a lot of these cases with these games coming out the way they in the state they do come out in, there's way too many. I hate to sound cliche-ish here, but too many chiefs, way too many people saying, "I know what to do," like, "Oh, let's go this direction," and pulling everywhere. There's even, I don't mean to jump the gun thing, but there's even stories coming out about how no hands-on is happening and games are being screwed up because there's no leadership involved. It's a balance, You got to know the weaknesses and strengths of your team and play on those weaknesses and strengths. I think this Halo Infinite Battlefield 2042 instance, it was to the point where it was too big of an idea and nobody to hold it back, nobody to go, whoa, slow that down. We can work towards
let's rein that in, but let's just focus on what are our core objectives. What do we have to know? How let's put a fucking scoreboard in Battlefield. Like, shouldn't that be a core objective to make sure that we launch with a scoreboard? Shouldn't it be a core objective at this point now in the stage that Halo's out to make sure that we come out with Forge? Just give a campaign Forge multiplayer and shut the fuck up. And if Call Up's broken, that's work towards that. But there's certain things where it's like you got things that are staples to some of these games. And imagine saying a scoreboard is a staple to a game, but at the end of the day, when you don't fucking have one, you're like, wait, what am I playing? What am I doing?
Basic functionality, by the way, but basic.
This is what I'm saying. Something that's so simple and so that you would think. And once again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what development and stuff like that, but you did it for every other Battlefield that you pretty much put out, and then you take it away here because I don't even know why. Like the reasoning and the thought process. Like, what was the thought process into saying, how does that overlook? And then once again, I go back to, you're a multi-million-dollar studio, the publisher worth billions of dollars, and you can't get that right. So yeah, I'm worried. You know what I'm saying?
I'm worried. When you got them coming out here saying, "Oh, we learned our lesson. We'll fix it next time." Well, no, you got my money now. Like, fix this.
Yeah,
fix this.
It's and to even piggyback off y'all point about the smaller titles, like, what always bothers me is like how much shit people talk about Biomutant. It bothers me. Biomutant was fucking fantastic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I fucking love
that. That's a great game.
It's a great game, and people leave out the fact that it actually pushed the S to its limits. People don't say that enough. And hey, that's a PS4 game. That's a PS4 game. It wasn't even optimized.
That's a last gen game.
It's a last gen game. It wasn't even optimized. So
too many people focusing on the graphic side of things. Like, if it ain't graphically looking good, it's a bad game, and that's a bad focus to have.
And it looked great. I thought so. In my opinion, it looked fucking awesome.
The gameplay was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
I enjoyed it. You already know I enjoyed it. You already know that.
Man. I do.
I went through that game like open world.
Yeah.
The leveling up you were doing in that, and how to defeat different things and find your way to a different level with, like, it was that Zelda like kind of thing where you had to like find the key for that. Like, I loved it. I mean, it was a game for me. It was, I don't know. But smaller titles, man. I think this generation, smaller titles has literally ruled the gaming space, at least for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's not, and it's crazy. That's not everybody's vibe. Sometimes people just want to go into your insert arena shooter title here and go and mess around and play with their friends and do all that. But when you don't have, whether it be the content in your game to make it sustain, or just the basic fundamentals of how the game should actually be, play, work, whatever that situation is, it's like, yeah, as you as a consumer, it's like you feel jaded. You're like, wait, how come the smaller people can get it right, but you got all the money in the world and you can't get it right? And you've been doing this. You have a track record of having good games. Like DICE has a track record specifically with Battlefield of putting out really good games, whether you like the World War II games or not. Like, Battlefield 1 was a dope game. First time I think any game has really explored the World War I scenario.
It wasn't a bad game. I just think the theme, some people just
and some people get turned off about that. Exactly. And, same thing with the Call of Duties and stuff, how they want to wrap around. But at the end of the day, you see that. I mean, even with cut, copy, and paste, and you still can manage to fuck shit up like rank play. You only just put rank play into Call of Duty, and they've been asking. Black Ops 2 had fucking rank play, and they did it the best. Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2, we're talking about almost 10 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why wasn't that a staple? Why wasn't that in every single Call of Duty going forward?
I'm glad. I'm so glad y'all are bringing this part up right there. I want to stay right there about how. I want to stay about how we don't get things. I want to stay right there.
Yeah, like you did something really good and really like not transfer. I mean, like, just having rank system or rank play in certain games. Not everybody wants to be that competitive, sweaty. Some people just want to play casually. But if you don't offer the competitive, sweaty part, then you get the sweaty people in your casual game modes, and then you want to really talk about fucking up a player base. Then you got people, when you talk about skill-based matchmaking and things like that, when you don't offer things to satisfy multiple player groups, then you get your casuals pissed off because they just want to get in there with their boys and their friends and the girls and play. And then you get the competitives that are like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm wasting my time. Why am I playing this?
I think it's safe to say that we played Call of Duty for years now, right? I mean, I've been playing this since 360 and on and on and on. Yeah. And my thing is, it's always been a conversation that comes up in our party chats. It's always, every Call of Duty, we go, well, why did they take away the stuff that actually worked and added stuff that didn't work? It's always that question. Like, I know there's a lot of people that copy paste. Yeah, but then you think about it, it's like, if they were really copy and pasting, why didn't they keep that? Like, for instance,
keep the good shit if you're gonna copy paste. Right. Yeah.
Like, for me, it was Modern Warfare had mantling system, right?
Yes.
Then Black Ops didn't.
Yeah.
Now it's back on Sledgehammer's game for what's that? Vanguard.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we doing? Like, it works.
But the rank play, and kills to your point, and the rank play, but this is what happens when you have too many chiefs in the kitchen and not somebody just saying who's in charge. And this is another thing, because now when they went to this whole camaraderie, all the studios are working together in unison. Remember the story. It was supposed to be Sledgehammer working on Black Ops. Imagine like Sledgehammer doing support, and they did from
like 80% of the game.
Until somehow Activision came in and said, "Oh no, you got to go away. We got to actually get the people that fucking made Black Ops to come in." Like, imagine knowing, like, it blows my mind. And there's so many other examples that I could go to when they try to tell you, "Oh yeah, BioWare is working on the new Mass Effect, not this new Mass Effect, not Mass 4 or whatever we're getting, like the Andromeda." Oh, BioWare is working on Mass Effect, and then you come to find out, oh, it's not the same BioWare team. It's like, what the fuck? What do you? No. You sold it to me like it was. So then when you got the game, and then you see like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? Regardless of whether it was the first time using the newer engines and things like that, like, you sold me a bag of goods, and you said this was going to be good, and then I get it, and it's not what you told me it was.
See, that part is frustrating though, man. That's above a lot of things with the bugginess and brokenness of states of games coming out. The fact that you saw me on this image on what the game is going to be, Battlefield did this perfectly with me with this last Battlefield.
Hell yeah!
Where the marketing literally called this game Battlefield 4 on steroids. Like, we were all about that life. Yep. Like, we were tweeting about it and talking about dog tag taking. I was making memes about that. Like, I was all about that life. Game launch, I played it. I had fun for what it was, but then like I realized after so many days of playing, I'm going, this is not a Battlefield experience that I thought it would be. It just wasn't. Like, and now and again, I go back to, I'm sour by this, but to say, oh, we've learned our lesson, we know what the fans want, it tells me you're tone deaf.
Yeah, because remember they learned their lesson after one of the head people over there at EA said, "Oh yeah, but you know, Halo fucked up our launch." You know, remember they learned their lesson after they had to blame another game coming out in the same window surprise launching. You know what I mean? Like,
I just think
crazy.
these big AAA titles that are established, like the Call of Duties and Battlefields, need to stick to their guns and their core gameplay and build off of that and not go so dramatic. I mean, the Battlefield thing is obviously a them looking at live service area and going, wow, look at Apex, look at Fortnite, they're making so much money. Now Warzone's doing the same thing. Even though they got hackers on there, they're still making money with that game.
Yeah.
We want something like that. And they abandoned all their core gameplay to give us this. They literally abandoned all their core gameplay.
Right. They forget about what made them as big as what got them there. They forget the horse that you rode in on, basically.
That's what happens when you chase money. When you chase that as your goal, you come up with products like this. I mean, we just in the opening of the show we talked about Fortnite.
Yeah,
I haven't played, and I don't know Logic. I don't want to speak for Logic, but he's mentioned before.
You know this.
We have not played this game since like season 2, whatever the hell it was.
Whatever the original inception of the battle royale was. The original inception of the battle royale.
Playing it, at least for me, I stopped playing it because the competitive scene got involved, and everybody wanted to become a pro sweat and building mansions of fortresses. It turned me off because I don't play that. The skill gap. Yeah. Not that I'm saying it's bad for having that. It's just the skill gap was too much for me. Like I could not keep up with that. That was for my kid and for younger crowds and pro gamers that are into that kind of stuff. So it turned me off. I went away from it. The moment they mentioned no build, first and foremost, I figured maybe that's a promo stunt for a week or two. But no, literally, they doubled down this week and said, no, it's staying. It's permanent.
And listen, I got to tell y'all, man, I've never played Fortnite ever. But I watched the trailer with the note because I didn't play it because of the build shit. I didn't. It's like you said, the skill gap. It wasn't my thing. It just looked too kiddish. You're building stuff. I didn't quite get it.
Sure.
But then I saw this trailer where they, with the no build. I'm like, man, they look like some shit I can get behind.
Yo,
I thought it was a gimmick. It was a gimmick. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was just we're gonna take away mats and just play on the Fortnite world that you used to playing on without mats. I thought it was that, but we quickly found out. No, they baked in the no build into this new season with this map. Like they literally added, mantling and also tax print and a bunch of like slides, like Apex Legends, how you slide on that same exact slide where you can slide cancel and slide for days. Look, listen, Epic knew they had, for whatever reason, a dip in their numbers, player count. They saw this and they said, how do we bring that back? Oh, let's bring a no build and bring back veterans from OG days 1 and 2, and let's bring them. They took it away. Yes, you're gonna have those.
Or bring people that won't even new people that wouldn't even touch it, like yourself, Big B. That you say to myself, I'm not built. It looks too kid, whatever, like that. Now you go on it now, and you're like, well, wait a second, this might be something that I could actually fuck with.
They didn't reinvent nothing. They didn't reinvent anything. They just simply said we're taking mats away.
But they built on what they knew. Worked, and with their existing system. Like I always said, I don't. The game has a little bit of bloom and stuff with the aiming. It's third person. Not everybody is a big fan of the third person. It's still only third person. There's no first person with it. But still, when you're playing the game and it's like it just worked so well. The game, it runs so freaking well. That's because it's optimized, and it's years. It's like 5 years now, I think, in inception of like actually as a battle royale, and it's so much fun to play. I mean, even a couple of months ago, when you were playing PUBG and stuff like that, like I played PUBG in the inception of PUBG when it was only PC before they even thought about putting it on a console. They had ideas and they made all the money that they made. And I remember playing that and stuff like that and having so much fun when it was only third person. Then they put the first person out and all of these games, but just because at the end of the day, it came down to team. No. Yeah. So with the PUBG, man, I'm telling you. So like, I akin to just having fun with a BR, and I wanted to be able to do that. And like I said, like Kills was saying, we played Fortnite and stuff like that, but I couldn't get with that building shit.
Yeah.
But now this I like Apex as a BR. I like that, but it's like at the end of the day too, Fortnite being free to play still. And I was like, you know what? No building. Let me go and try it out. And I've been playing. I've been winning. I've been having a lot of fun. I got the battle pass is $8. I'm back. I'm in it. I'm invested. $8. I'm back in it. But I already almost have enough V-Bucks to get the next battle pass. I'm already, you know what I mean? And I'm playing it. I'm having a fuck ton of fun playing it. So
we invested.
Yeah, man. So it's like I don't know. It's crazy.
Let's switch the gears right there. Let's talk about investments and battle pass like things.
Yeah.
We all know PlayStation. If you don't know, to the people that's listening, PlayStation revealed their new subscription type of service this week. It was deemed Spartacus in the gaming world for so many months.
Did they give it a name, or is it still?
It's just PlayStation Plus with tiers.
Yeah,
okay, so
PlayStation
it's still gonna be called PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. They didn't change the name of it. They just provided.
They merged it.
Yeah, just two more. Just provided two more tiers. The first tier is going to be the same as just the regular PlayStation Plus. You get one less game a month, where you get like 2 instead of 3. The mid tier is, I think, the essential package, where you get access to the PlayStation Now. They're gonna merge it into your subscription. You get access to 400 games, the PS1 collection, PS2, PS3, and the PSP and the PS Vita collection as well. Everything is downloadable except PS3 games.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the larger tier was the premium, the PlayStation Premium package.
Yep, that's correct. $17.99.
$17.99. I think the mid tier was
$14.99.
$14.99.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the regular one was $9.99. Like it is already.
So 10, 15, and 18.
Yeah, and the 18 one, you get access to, I think, 300 or 400 more games, like a total
340 additional games, including the PS3 games available via cloud, catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP generations.
As my understanding,
I've been hearing. Just ask. I was just gonna say, I've been hearing mixed things about people's opinions.
For sure,
people in my gaming circle are hitting me up because they know I had been, anticipating this thing, but they didn't know what my anticipations quite were. I want to get you guys' opinion before I share mine. Sensei, you can lead it off. What did you think about the PlayStation new tiers, man? Are you a fan of it, or you think you think it's bad?
I will go. I don't want to sound like I'm a fanboy here of it, but here's reading it more and more throughout the days and getting a better understanding of what the tiers are. Looks like the middle tier, the $15 plan,
the essential,
the $18 plan. It looks like what they did was with the categories of games that they got that you can play or stream. Looks like they just ended up putting your more relevant games in middle tier, which is a really good package. And then on the higher tier, the $18 package, is that plus the retro games, the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4, with PS3 being streaming only, which makes sense. I understand as a fan, it's one of those, I wish I could download emulators, and everybody's having this back and forth discussion about what the world of emulating is and what it isn't, and it's possible, not possible. Look, at the end of the day, we all know if you're a gamer, you understand that PS3 ecosystem was one of the greatest ones they had. I loved it. The games that came out for that system was amazing. The issue is they ended up using cell shading processor, and that processor does not play well with x86, chipsets, that kind of stuff.
I'm glad you were explaining this, because I don't know when they say when Sony comes out and said it's just hard to emulate the PS3 games on these systems. It's
not that it's hard. It's that to allocate resources and the money that it takes to back something up like that. It's not as simple as let's just take a couple of people and start emulating our game so that you can download it and play it like off your hard drive or off your system naturally. It's more than just that. You have to look beyond the surface of that. It's one of those things where it's oil and vinegar. It's just blood and water. Whatever metaphor you want to use, where it just doesn't mix. You have an architecture on the PS3,
which was proprietary. It was proprietary, and
what does that mean?
It was to them. It's them only. So like when Kills says something like x86, he's basically meaning like it's like PC. Like when we think x86, we think PC caliber. We think like basically x86 platforms are even what Intel and what AMD uses from chipsets. That's why not everybody realizes your next gen consoles run x86 chips on them. That's why it's been a lot easier to port games over via whether it be on the PC side, the console, and from the console side to the PC, because they're basically made under the same architecture. The way in which PS3 games were made, PS3 games were under that cell processor, which was proprietary to Sony. It was some new tech. It did a lot for them as far as generational like leaps and stuff with graphics and stuff, but it was difficult to develop for. Now, not only just develop for, but to emulate. And that's the key. to emulate that, it's a pain in the ass. That's why it's not easy. And that's why they resorted in basically using the cloud system that they with PS Now to basically go forward and try to do that.
And a lot of people are pointing towards.
Let me ask you this though, Sensei, before you say anything with just staying on emulation, right? Some people will say, well, you see a lot of these at-home guys doing emulation themselves of our favorite games and putting them out there on YouTube for people to see. I mean, how can one do that? So is it so easy to do at home or no? But
nobody's mentioning how unstable these things are. They're not as stable as people assume that they.
Okay.
We're saying these people are making it at home and PC players are building it and it works.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not. We're literally overlooking the fact that out of, let's say, 100 games they're emulating from the PS3 era, maybe solidly with good quality, 10 of them may work. The rest,
the way that they're supposed to work, and the way in which they're supposed to work, not even just running. Just because there's been PS3 emulators available, and that's another thing too. Illegal within, and I want to give this disclaimer: emulation is not legal in every single country. Okay, so we're not promoting emulation.
Okay,
listen, check out your local rules and regulations before you go. We're not promoting emulation per se here. Outside of the bounds of if it's offered by the company that made the original games and stuff. If you own a game, if you physically own a game, you can technically download the digital copy of it and play it emulated because you own the physical version of that game. But technically and legally, in a lot of countries, if you're playing an emulation and you don't own that physical game, it is against the law. You're you're pirating. You're pirating. So that's another thing as well too, and a circumvent and a way to go around it, like Kills was getting to as well. What we were getting to is the cloud system. Cloud has been getting better, and they've been, and Sony's been early in trying to do it. I mean, we had cloud systems before. We had Xbox with xCloud, and even Sony with PS Now. We've had companies come out and try to do this whole streaming over the cloud thing already. And as the years progress, we've been getting better and better, and I think it will only continue to get better and better as people start getting better internet connections.
Come a long way from online. I don't know if you remember that service.
But it's still on live. But it's still right. Exactly on live. That's a big throwback right there. Where you have to pay for it. And so it's nothing new too. And guess what? They were charging it. And for that, for people complaining about subscriptions and stuff, guess what? You had to pay a fucking subscription back then too. So this whole people getting their, all rah up about having to pay for games and not really owning their games. They've been doing it forever. People have no problem paying for an HBO Max subscription, for a Paramount Plus subscription, for a Netflix subscription, but you draw the line when it comes to video games. And I'll never understand that.
I want them physical. Which by the way,
understand that
DRM is a thing, so you technically don't own that physical copy at all. The moment that company decides to pull that licensing on you, they're within their rights to do so, because it's in their TOS, it's written in their print when you buy their games physically. You still have to download these to your hard drive.
You know why we haven't gotten a remastered or a reversion of Def Jam New York? Remember Def Jam New York? Fight for New York? Remember Def Jam? Remember that classic?
Yeah, I've been asking for it for years.
Remember that? You know why you
can't license the music out?
You can't license the music out. You know how many people you'd have to go to? Come on, that's
I understand
it. And this is what I mean. People think it's so easy. Why don't they just do it? Why don't they just remake? You can't fucking do it, man.
You can barely even play games with the music in the background while you're streaming. I got hit the other day for my Elden Ring stream.
GTA is one of them. They you know what Epic did? Epic put because they have so much licensed music now because of all the deals they've been doing in the concerts and stuff. They literally have it inside of Fortnite where you could turn it off and you could turn off all licensed music to make sure that you don't get banged.
I think Epic is the only company out here saying they got fuck you money. They don't care.
And they're paying for that too. Yeah.
Oh, same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy too. You can turn the music off in there so you won't get hit on your
so you don't get hit.
So overall, Kills, you a fan of the subscription service with PlayStation?
I'm sorry, we went away from that.
It's all right. We just talking.
The tier system to me, the middle ground tier. I was talking a lot with Logic about this, and we went back and forth, and he shined a light a lot on the services. I'm not, and it's no secret for those who follow me, I'm not in the PlayStation ecosystem. I'm in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah.
I looked at it from the point of view of, does this sell me? Am I now going to go, shit, I need this, as part of the place? And not that I don't own a PlayStation. I own a PlayStation. I have a Pro, PS4 Pro. I don't have the PS5. But does this sell me, someone who's not in that ecosystem? Do I want to go out my way now and go, shit, I want that? On PC, maybe. I might just get the service of PC because even though I know Logic has mentioned this, that the streaming side of things has come a very long ways, and it has. Yeah. It's still not my preferred way of playing a game natively.
Yeah.
But PS3 is still streaming, even after all that we said about the emulating. It's kind of disappointing that I can't download these games. But it's a step forward to include that in your services, that you can now play those libraries where you was not able to before this.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as selling me on the tier system, I don't like the $18 plan. It offers nothing extra for me, but I do like the $15 plan. And I'll probably end up getting it for PC because I do want to play games. I believe Spider-Man's on there. I own the game, but I will go back and play a game anytime. I believe Miles Morales.
They're giving away Mortal Kombat, Spider-Man,
Mortal Kombat,
Spider-Man, Miles Morales, as well as Returnal.
Yeah.
So
yeah. See, here's what I know, and I went in this knowing, because I already said this. I don't know why people keep talking about this, but there's no day and date in the services, and I understood that.
Yeah.
PlayStation and Xbox are two different markets.
That was going to be my next question too. I'm glad you talked.
They're going to sell to their markets, their respective markets.
Yeah.
It's okay for one company to do one thing while the other one's doing it because it works for whatever they're doing for their market.
Yeah.
Right. With that being said, I would have wished at least with the PlayStation new services, even at the $18 plan, that at least they can say months from now, maybe 6 months from now, Horizon Forbidden West will be on there. Maybe 6 months from now, when God of War comes out, Ragnarok, 6 months from that, it'll be on the service. Like, give me, if you at least could do that, then I'm going, smart. You made your money on the retail side when it launched, and now it's kind of dipping on player count, put it on the service, bam, you're back up. And you still making, now you're double dipping, making money. So I'm thinking business now. You're double dipping. And now you're talking to me as a consumer going, why would I get that if no day one, now that I'm already conditioned to have day ones in a Game Pass service? Maybe you don't want to give me day ones. I get it. You are selling quality. I can't argue that. I just can't. There's no other medium as far as the gaming space goes that can compete against what Sony does when it comes to their quality in their games and their single player experiences, whether it's God of War, Uncharted, Horizon, Ghost, one of my favorites, Ghost, you can't, there's nothing that beats that. I mean, and I'm talking about a quality level. I'm not talking about experience level. Everybody experiences games differently. So everybody has their own game of the year, their own feelings about different things. Heck, Biomutant, great game. We just talked about it. But if you can, me that's trying to get into that ecosystem, if you can tell me, hey, man, we're not going to do day and date. We already said that. I'm good with that. But 6 months from now, even a year, maybe even a year, if you're not about that FOMO life, you will get this game in a year's time on that service. How does that sound? Then I'm going, oh shit, I don't fear FOMO. I don't have that. So I can wait a year. I can wait 6 months. I think that is somewhere they probably can go to. And Jim Ryan has already proven that what he's saying today is not going to be tomorrow.
And I want
always changing.
I want to talk about what you said, and I'm gonna let Logic rock. That's the thing, like you said, just selling to your prospective markets, right? I'm part of both, as you know. And I know my Sony side, I know how to play with them because I know this is something new for them. And I know that nothing is, like you just said with Jim Ryan, nothing is written in stone. He's already said that. I know everybody wanted day and date stuff. I can't give you that right now, but who's to say later on in the future, we may go to that. I mean, they already kind of, it wasn't a Sony title, but they experimented with Shadow Warrior 3. They threw it on PS Now, day and date. That you may see a sprinkle or
it's gonna happen. It's there.
Yeah. Even if you say it can, and you never. I mean, for Christ's sake, man, like I'm just trying to give Sony time to just figure out these new updates. The new updates keep shutting off my fucking PS5. Couldn't tell you why. It just does. Like I'm just trying to give them time to just figure out this thing they're doing because I know for one, they're not really open with the community, as we already know, like Xbox is. They work on stuff, then they say, hey, here you go. They don't really say, man, what you think about this, kind of like Xbox does. So I want to salute them on at least hearing the people out say, because we wanted tiers for a while. and they played with it and played with it. So I like them getting their feet wet, so to speak, as in that regard. Logic, how do you feel about the tiers, man? You think it's a good idea, or you think they should just can it, man?
No, I don't know. I don't know about canning it. They had to do something, right? But I don't think this is necessarily the response that they're giving. Like I told Kills this initially when we found out about the tiers that they were doing and the PlayStation Plus. It's apples and oranges to try to compare this to what Xbox is doing and what Microsoft is doing with Game
And do we
Pass.
have to compare it to?
We don't necessarily have to, but people will automatically do that just because that's how people are. But if you're just looking at this objectively, and I'm trying to look at this objectively as well too, even though I don't have a PlayStation. Oh, I do technically. I have a PS4 Pro. There are games on the PS4 Pro that I'd love to play. As far as getting the service, I think the value is in the $14.99 service. I don't think there's much value in the $17.99 service, to be honest. I think they could have nixed that $17.99 price point altogether and just for the $3 less or $2.99 less, just put all those 340 games of PS Now game into the $14.99 version, because all they basically did was combine PlayStation Plus and PS Now. Yep. And you know who really suffers, unfortunately? Your PC fan, which could get PS Now right now for $9.99, but now is forced to pay $5 more in order to access PS Net, or now they're just going to call PlayStation Plus on the PC. So that's what people don't realize. If you were on PC and you didn't have a PlayStation and you wanted to play these games digitally, you only had to pay $9.99, and you got PS Now. Now they got rid of PS Now. They merged it with PlayStation Plus. So now you need PlayStation Plus, the middle membership, the $14.99 tier, just to play PS Now games. And you can't take advantage of the PlayStation Plus because you might not have a PlayStation eventually.
The Plus is for the console.
The Plus is for the console side, for the membership to get online and all that stuff. So, the $17.99 price point kind of throws me off. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. The $14.99 is where the value is. And if they say they don't want to put the day one and tier ones in there, that's fine. But I guess it's okay to a certain extent, but they didn't really do much. All you did was you combined two existing services into one service, and then you created an extra tier, which I don't know if there's going to be a lot of people that are going to find value in that. I'm not going to speak for other people. But honestly, it's like it'd be hard pressed for me, even if I did have a PlayStation, I was interested in a lot of those classic games, to justify spending the extra $2.99 in order to get those extra 340 games. Whereas the $15 I think gives you plenty of value as far as those PS4 and PS5 games that you'd have the ability to get.
I don't think this was them reinventing the wheel. I think it was, or even, and this is me just thinking out loud, or even them wanting to get new subscribers. And I think this was more so a merging of two services, so
that they wanted to do anyway. Exactly, that they wanted to do anyway.
No two separate services, which they wanted to do that anyways. And I just think the community ran with a wild narrative and made their own narrative up.
Okay.
Before it launched, and now that it launched, everybody's like, "This is not what we want. It's not competing. It was never meant to compete."
Nope.
They said this. Both sides have said this numerous times. We're not competing on this. Everybody has a right to have a service, but it must make sense to your ecosystem. If you're asking me, does it make sense to that ecosystem? Of course it does. It makes sense to that ecosystem. If you own a PlayStation, you main a PlayStation, and that is your preferred console, I see this as a win for that crowd, for that fan base. It's a win for them. Who am I to say it's not? I'm not in that ecosystem. What I can tell you, though, is if they were trying to get me into it, as I stated before, it's a tough sale, especially now that I have a PC, a good PC that I can actually just get, the PlayStation Now version, but now it's $15 rather than $10 to stream, essentially to stream games, because you can't download those games.
Or you just wait until your AAA game comes out on PC and you just buy the game.
Or you just wait for it to hit. So
you just wait for it to hit Steam.
That's more value. Right.
Yeah, there's more value in just waiting for it to hit Steam and then buying the game straight out than actually paying for a subscription service. Then you're not even going to get the game. If you tell me that you'd get the exclusive on the $14.99 version, that's value. But the fact is that you're not doing that, where you have to deal with what ifs. It could be, it's a possibility, but because they won't commit to that, then that's a hard sale for somebody that's not in the system.
For me, and I start at the top. For me, when I got the news, I went in clicking the link already just pessimistic. I know who I'm dealing with. I know Sony. I know how they play at this point. I knew they weren't going to give me everything I like. I like the fact they want to merge too, because I've always wanted the PlayStation Now subscription. I just didn't like that I would have to pay two different prices. I didn't like that. Didn't like it at all. So I'm
That
glad
was mind-boggling.
that was my
that you had to pay two different prices.
like. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, man, I didn't want to do that. So like, I'm glad they're merging them. My hopes, if I just had to have my way, I wanted them to find a way to make the PS3 games downloadable. I didn't know why up until y'all explained it to me just now why it was so hard. It makes perfect sense now why they can't do it. I get that. Who to say, years down the line with technology changing, they may can put out an update with the PS5, maybe can do it. You never know. We don't know. But right now, this second, it's just you just can't do it, right? So I looked at all the tiers. I'm looking at the mid tier. I'm looking at, of course, the premium tier. I will say this: what sold me on the premium tier was the fact that you can play new games at a trial basis. You can try certain games out before you bought them. I like that.
I was gonna ask you that. What do you feel about the demos being behind a paywall?
Depending on certain games, because I tell you like this, right? When I take it back, when Destiny came out, I played the demo. Of course, it was free. I loved it. It sold me on that game, and I'm not big on demos. I take it to current times. The new Final Fantasy, Strange of Paradise. I played the demo. I loved it. I had to have it. If these are going to be Sony exclusives per se, I can kind of get behind it. If you're going to give me 4 hours with Ghost of Tsushima 2, count me in. I'm sorry, I pay for it.
Did they mention how long the trials are?
They didn't say yet. They just said time.
We also we got to understand that this is not your traditional demo where you're playing a slice of a game that you already have all the powers. This is a trials, meaning that you're literally pressing from the main menu. It's a complete game. You're pressing start and you're playing. It's like EA trials, where you're starting the game from the beginning and then you get a couple hours of it and you're literally playing the game, which I believe that's a good way of looking at it when it comes to demo versus trials.
Especially when you're talking about spending $70 on these games, man, $67,
or it's a lot of money, man.
Or if you if you love it so much, you want to get the deluxe edition with the season pass. Easy $100, $80 to $100, depending on the game. I like that, man. I like that. I can't even tell you how many times I wish I could have played the game before I actually bought it, because I hated I had to take it back and get some of the money back.
Oh, we all been there.
Yeah,
man,
we all been there.
Man, to me, that's
these return policies are hit or miss. You don't never know you're gonna get your money back.
Man, listen, that's almost the selling point for me. I'm waiting for more information to come out before I decide which way I want to go between the mid tier and the premium tier, because I want to know this. I have questions. I want to know. I want to know about trophies. I want to know about if we purchased the game on PS1 or PS2 or PSP. Is it a way to, like, okay, maybe not PS1 of course, but maybe PS2 or PSP? Can my progress transfer over some kind of way? I want to.
And I'm glad that we can have this conversation. And you've known that we've had this conversation on the phone, texting for hours, bro. Like we'll either text for hours or we'll talk to each other for hours, and we'll just go on and on and on about the gaming space, because it's our love and our passion, one of our loves and passion. And I love that we are able to have this open conversation about PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Well, not so much Nintendo. We agree, Nintendo, but it's like. I want to add this to the whole demo conversation. Traditionally, demos has been free, but we can't pretend like demos was charged to us as well. And there was a point in time with that, and the most recent, for me in my head, most recent example of a paid demo, Logic will probably, like, it's gonna probably hit him once I say it, but Metal Gear, the Metal Gear Ground Zero.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
It was a huge demo.
I bought that. I bought it, and
a lot of us bought it.
They had a lot of shit. It had a lot of shit in it, but that's also something too that you should have just been. It, like, the fact that you charged me for that, and then you charged me $60 for
the game.
For the game,
So
And you
but
could have
$80
just,
pretty much for the full experience.
yeah, that was kind of nuts.
At that time out, and these guys know, I was very vocal about it being a demo, paying for a demo. I'm not about that life. That is crazy. Even though it had a lot of, there was a lot of stuff to do. Is that I'm not watering down the content that's in the game. What I'm practically saying is that you named it as a demo and you sold it for $20 and then sold us $60. If all you bought was the vanilla version was $60 because they had the other packages for 80 or whatever with the statues and all that stuff. But if you just bought the vanilla version, at the end of the day, for the full experience, you had to pay $80 and you got nothing extra, right? Versus paying, it was just crazy. So let's not pretend like demos was never sold. And that's the most recent example I could come up with. I'm sure if I was to dig more, I'll see more demos that were sold to us. But that's just recent examples, whether it be sold to us up front or through a service, right? So those are just recent examples, an example that I have in my head about sold demos. So traditionally, yes, they've been free. Technically, not really, because either it was behind a paywall that you were able to access this. With Xbox the same way. You had to have gold to experience any demos. Technically, they were not free. You still had to pay.
See, I'm surprised too that you wouldn't even go as far back as like PlayStation Magazine or something like that when the demo disc used to come inside.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that.
That's my mind. Like you used to have to buy a magazine in order to get the freaking demo disc. That's the only way that you were able to play a game that was paid technically. Like, so this isn't a new thing, but when you look at like a company like
it's just a new way of doing it.
Like EA giving you 10 hours and stuff like that, but guess you know what I mean? With EA Play, it's like you're paying for that. Exactly. You're paying for that service, but at least they're giving it to you. Things like clouds, I mean, not to just go over, but the cloud saves. I don't know why that's a paid for thing. I don't know why you have to pay.
Now, I disagree.
That's always been a paid thing for Sony.
And that's the one thing I've always disagreed with Sony on was, why the fuck am I paying you for cloud saves, dude? Like, this is crazy. But at this point, I'm just so used to it.
I mean, taking out of the gaming space, even if you take out of the gaming space, cloud service or cloud storage is offered by virtually every company, and they have a free tier to it. Whether it's 2 gigs, 5 gigs, or whatever gigs,
Google 15 gigs. I mean, I'm not comparing.
Yep. You're right.
It's great. And my first experience of the cloud save, the way it worked with PlayStation, was on a PS4. When I got that, I ended up getting some of the games I put on the cloud just to save space on my hard drive and on my external. I put on the cloud, and at that time, I remember I had various PS4s, so I was always switching back and forth with the living room, getting the cloud save down, and I didn't realize, and I realized it really fast, that when I stopped subscribing to PS Plus, I didn't have access to the cloud, and I couldn't for the life of figure it out why I couldn't access my save points. I'm like, I know I played this game about a year ago. What happened to? Did it go away? It's the same console? I couldn't figure it out. I remember doing some research and figuring out and finding out that if you don't have PS Plus, your saves go away. At that moment, I was baffled. I'm going, wait, is this a thing everywhere else? Like, let me figure this out. If it's a normal thing in the industry, that's crazy. But it's really not a normal thing. But it's that you have to have PS Plus just to have your saves on the cloud. It's crazy. And I know people came at me sideways. Well, you could always put on an external hard drive, or you can save it on your traditional.
I don't want to do that shit.
I want options.
Why is it
bad to have options? It's like I want options.
Provide me with the cloud, man. I appreciate the cloud on Xbox. I really do.
With that being said, though, they have they've come a long ways from what cloud for them used to be. A long way. So it's a beautiful thing when it works. I just wish that they would implement it in such a way where it's convenient for the consumer, where we don't have to do, I said this early in the week, where we don't have to put in contra codes to update a game. You know what I mean? Up, down, left, right, just to update a game. I don't want to do all that. I wanted to literally go, oh, you have a PS4? Oh, you have a PS5? We're going to install this the right way. Because smart delivery being a buzzword and everything, because it is a buzzword, it's been an iteration of smart delivery has been in every console, whether it's a Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. It's been in every console in the past. It was just never a buzzword. I don't know why now, if we're dealing with downloading and uploading and doing this differently when it comes to when it comes to updating a game. I don't understand when we went that route. Because smart delivery has been in every goddamn console. Since console has started doing the whole internet thing, we just never knew about the buzzword. Now it's a buzzword, so we assume it's new. It's not new. It's been in consoles for quite some time, ever since cloud was introduced, or ever since internet, online connectivity, broadband was introduced. We've had this functionality. It was always embedded into the systems, and even in some cases baked in. It's just that now we finding it like the buzzword smart delivery. We're making it seem like, oh, shit is new, and Microsoft invented it. Not really, but okay, here we are. So Yeah.
And see, I just have more questions with this thing, right? Because you're saying we're going to be able to, download PlayStation 1, 2, and of course,
Mm-hmm.
4 classic games, right? I want to keep it on PlayStation 1 and 2 games. We know the PS5 can run
By the way,
PS4
those are being
games.
emulated. I don't know if you know that.
Okay. I want to know this, right? So now you're telling me that the PS5 is going to be somewhat BC, backwards compatible, right? Am I going to be able, when y'all send out this update, can I now put a PS3 disc in my PS5?
Actually, I asked that to Logic. I don't know if that's a thing or not.
According to the official PlayStation blog post, there's nothing on here when they're breaking down the different tiers that would make you believe that you can do that.
And see, I want to know
that I can if I have the
put
physical
a disc
just pop it in.
They haven't said anything.
No, but they're not. And I think if they and here's the thing, that'd be something weird if you're going to announce this. That would be something weird to hold back. My personal
I'm assuming
opinion.
It's going to be like what Xbox did with their back, where you pop in a disc, it goes to the internet, finds the emulator, and gives it to you.
But this is backwards compatible only because of you're talking about because the middle tier, right? They add the catalog of 400 of the most enjoyable PS4.
Yeah,
the downloadable games.
That's what's getting me. Like, are we going to be able to do that? Because at this point, it's somewhat backwards compatible. They're saying, more news is going to come out about this tier service. I'm assuming more news that will come out about the BC on the PS5 at this point as well, because I can't be the only one thinking now, okay, since we can play PS1 and PS2 games, can I now dig in my stash, my PS1 and PS2 stash, and play this fucking James Bond
and I
game?
think me and Kills were talking about this, and we were talking about this for probably a good 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah. If you read the wording correctly, it only alludes to the cloud. It literally only offers cloud streaming access for original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the extra and premium tiers.
So no disc popping in. If you own the copy of the game, you can't just pop in a disc and expect it to play like it should. Yeah.
And maybe when they figure this thing out more, maybe a year from now, we can have a different conversation.
Right.
I mean, what, almost fucking 2 years ago, almost feels like we were talking about how they didn't even have a fucking SSD for the PS5. You know what I mean? Where the fuck is my extended storage? You know what I mean?
That's so famous.
Crazy.
But now they have the extended storage. I just tell people this technology is still new. This generation is still new. Both sides just trying to figure just things out. They're signing fucking this company and that company. New things are happening, man. Like, I have to be patient with Sony and see, because they're giving it to June. I'm expecting to hear some news almost every week now up until then about these tiers, explaining, what this backwards compatibility, what you're going to be able to do, what you're not going to be able to do. Because I have so many questions that they haven't answered. So I expect them to know this at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you with that. When it comes to, I'm still a fan of PlayStation and their exclusive games. They're the best. I will still play them when they come out. God of War. I'm waiting for that game. I can't wait for Horizon to jump on PC because I don't have access to a PS5. So if it jumps on PC, I'll end up getting it on PC. It's just one of those things where my issue, and this, I've been very vocal about this and very, very open about it. My issue with Sony is not the games of it. It's not the system. It's just the communication piece.
Yep.
Where are you going with this communication? You're confusing the crap out of me. Like, I want simplicity. I'm a consumer. You should sell me as a consumer. I don't want to hear, oh, we don't believe in this, and then 2 weeks later, now we start believing in it. I don't want to hear that it's not going to have backwards. We don't believe in that. Now we have backwards. Like, what are you doing? The hard drive situation. It's just simple stuff like that. I'm going, what's going on? The fact that you still have to download and then upload a game on PlayStation, still 2 parts. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, because I don't own a PS5, but I know my PS4 Pro, it still does that, where you download a game and then you got to upload the game. It's like the patches is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The updates. Like when you have an update, it's a download and then an upload. Like, why is it a 2-parter? Somebody please explain that to me. Why isn't it as simple as knowing what SKU is taking so it can just put the right one on the game. Like I don't get it. Like it's one of those things, but it's just the messaging for me is completely off for me. And it's a turnoff as a consumer. You want me in your ecosystem, but you're not selling me on a clear path. What does your future look like? This exclusive thing was a cool thing 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That system. It was a great thing to sell me on. We're past that. We're past that. I need you to give me more than just we have the greatest exclusives. Now I want more. Services. I want services. I want that. Yeah.
And I think this is a step. You know, I'm hoping that from now to June they communicate a bit more. You know, I really do. Like, and that's all I ask for. That's what I love about Xbox. I love the communication with
we can all agree to that. All of us can agree to that. Like we can all agree to that part right there. It's the whether you're PlayStation, you're in the ecosystem PlayStation or not, whether you're in Microsoft ecosystem or not, or Nintendo, like you have to have a company talk to you.
Yep.
And tell you where we're going, where we at now, and where we're going tomorrow.
Yep. Roadmap.
Give me a roadmap of what your vision is. Heck, I've been asking for better DVR and DVR suites since day one because the Xbox offers shit when it comes to the DVR service side of things. But the community got vocal about Twitter sharing and we won. Oh, they put it back to now you can Twitter share again. That's what you're really winning? That's what you bro, my DVR looks like shit. We used to have Upload Studio with suites and things to do on that with overlays and editing tools. As basic as they were, they literally started my editing passion. Like that's what that did for me. Now we have a button on a damn controller, and this is me ranting now. This button right here. See that button right there? Does absolutely shit for me. It records 30-second clips at maybe 4K, and you take it's a Russian roulette because now you're thinking, shit, I gotta record it. Then you look at the damn copy of what you recorded, and it's dim black.
Yeah.
But Twitter sharing, we won. Yes, guys, the community's vocal. Stop that. Like, I need you to give me like DVR services that actually work, that actually is good quality video, and give me suites to edit videos on. That's how you promote your ecosystem.
I couldn't agree
That's
more.
That's my rant for the yeah.
Man, listen, I want to thank y'all, man, for coming on the show, having this conversation. I didn't even want to do the PlayStation whole tier conversation without having y'all on here, man, and just speaking about it.
That.
You know what I mean? Y'all my guys. I couldn't have this conversation with anybody else and have it as in-depth with anybody else, you know what I mean? And have it fair. You know what I mean? That too. You know what I mean? Like you know how it go. Everybody don't think logically and fair when it comes to this thing. So many people try to just try to console war it out. You know what I mean? And you know, that's why I had to have you guys on the show to present a good, fair conversation so people can hear this, man. You know what I mean? I definitely, man, listen. Y'all know y'all welcome to come on my show anytime. Won't be the last time, man. You know what I mean? Thank y'all, man, so much, man. You know what I mean?
Thank you for having us, man, for sure.
You know what I mean? Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and end this for a cutoff on us. We can continue talking off air, of course. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. We appreciate y'all, man. Till next time, stay safe, man, and stay gaming, man. Peace, man.
Have a good one, guys.